Greetings and welcome. Hope all is well with you and yours. This is Trebor 7, back with part 6 of our empowerment series, where we've talked about how to increase our brain power, increase telekinetic energy, the power of living in the now, the importance of paranormal friends, and in our last installment, how to detoxify and decalcify your pineal gland by chugging lots of distilled water. Which brings me to part 6, the power of the pineal gland, which is a hyped up version of the title, How to Tell If Your Third Eye is Open. So that was probably, I asked for some questions and suggestions and things on my last video, and ironically I only got 3. Which when I don't ask for questions and suggestions, I get all kinds of emails. So maybe I learned a lesson there. But the 3 questions that I got were all basically the same thing. How do we tell when our third eye is opening? And, my smart aleck remark was going to be, well, if it was open, you'd know it. But I thought about it, it didn't really happen all at once for me. And so I kind of went back and went through some of my old memoirs and blog posts and comments and whatnot, and just kind of tried to chronologically map out how my awakening happened. Now, I've heard horror stories of people having, overnight awakenings of the third eye and kundalini energy, just doing all kinds of crazy things and seeing shadow figures and demons and all this stuff. And none of that ever happened to me, so I can't speak on that part. If that happened to you, I'm sorry. But for me, it's been a rather pleasant experience, however, a long, drawn-out experience over a matter of years. But thinking back, I think the very first thing I noticed when I started actually trying to decalcify my pineal gland, after I figured out what it was and what had happened, I noticed I just started sleeping better. I could actually get a full night's sleep and not have to lay in bed for an hour trying to fall asleep, So that was probably the first thing I noticed, which is a primary function of the pineal gland, they're regulating your sleep and awakeness. And just basically cognitive function improved a little bit, a little clearer thoughts. Don't have to struggle so hard to remember passwords and phone numbers and whatnot. A slight improvement in my eyesight and hearing, which I can't say for certain that is the root cause of that. I was doing other things. I was doing some eye exercises and sun gazing and whatnot, but that was something that improved. And willpower, you get a lot better, stronger willpower when your third eye is open. Discernment, increased discernment, which is awesome. You can, sometimes you have a gut feeling something's not right, or your mind tells you that's not possible, or your heart says that's not right. But there's a different form of discernment whenever you get the third eye in there. It's just like a mind, body, and spirit, all 3 say nope, and you don't have to question it anymore. You know immediately when something's fake, So that's a huge sign that your third eye is opening. Discernment. And just overall instincts and, your reflexes and heightened senses like your hearing and eyesight, and things are more acute, and improved imagination and creativity and inquisitiveness. That'll all increase. You'll start. It just changes your perspective and perhaps even your purpose in life when this awakening happens. You can just stop, maybe not focusing so much on materialism and focusing more on spiritual wisdom and things like this. Things that used to bother you no longer bother you, in the way that things that bother a little child don't bother an adult anymore because they know more. One of those type of things. You just become overall more understanding and compassionate and empathetic and loving towards everything, more appreciative towards things, because you see more, you feel more. You'll crave the truth, Oh, and I kind of skipped dream recall. That kind of came just almost shortly after the improved sleep. I started remembering my dreams, which in turn made me start recognizing my premonitions. I dreamed something and a few days later it would come true. For example, even this morning I dreamt of a bee. Mind you, this is mid-February in the Midwest, dead winter, I saw a bee today when I was meditating outside. Well, first I heard it and opened my eyes to see if I was freaking out. And there it was, a bee in mid-February in Missouri. That was such a trip. Oh, wait, I got way off in the weeds there. Okay, you can see in the dark. Now, I went and watched a video or two before I started doing this commentary just to see what other people were experiencing. And there's a lot of things that are in sync with my experience and a lot of things I didn't experience. But one thing they said, a lot of people became more sensitive to sunlight, which is quite the opposite to me. I got to where I didn't have to wear sunglasses anymore, and I could stand being in direct sun, not squinting too much. So that was kind of different for me. But I noticed I could see better in the dark. That's a good sign that your pineal gland is cleaned up and opening. And the downside, of being more sensitive to all this stuff is you're more sensitive to toxins and negative energy, and you're not going to want to hang around negative people and things like that quite as much because you're going to feel it more. But that's a small price to pay. And you just become more conscious of, like I became more conscious of what I was eating, and actually started doing more fasting and eating more plants and less animals, because you become kind of aware of karma and things like that. It just kind of changes you. I'm not saying you can't be a good person and eat meat, and I still eat meat on occasion, so I'm just saying that's something that seems to happen. Your perspective, and you become more conscious of what you're doing. Okay, and then finally, in regard to psychic abilities, the first thing I noticed was like I said, the premonitions in my dreams, and then the intuition just started going through the roof, so much to where you start mistaking it as deja vu, but it's actually, premonitions. And just extra sensory perception, noticing things that other people don't. And I will confess, I kind of had that ability my entire life, but I didn't know that it was different than anyone else, until I got older. But that's how I got mistaken as being very lucky, I always just, if I just let my intuition pick, like for example, drawing straws or flipping coins or something, very likely to win. But anyway, premonitions, even telepathy, that's something you'll notice. Like my wife, I would finish her sentence, or I would think what my daughter was getting ready to say. Just little things like that just start happening on a daily basis. And it becomes, at first it's like, wow, and then pretty soon it just becomes normal everyday life. And the synchronicities are just, it's crazy, I can't even, I don't want to get into it because I'm already going longer than I wanted to. But synchronicity, let's see, lucid dreams, out-of-body experiences, that'll change your life. First time I saw my body from above, that, you'll never think that you are your body again. That's a big life changer. And that was way down. That was like 3 years into it. And seeing auras, that was actually one of the later things for me. That's usually one of the first things people get. But I started seeing auras of objects like I was trying to do telekinesis on. And I could see people's auras, but not very often because I had to be in a really calm, meditative state. So I usually wasn't in that position when I was around people. But plants, animals, and targets and things, seeing auras around that. And, I don't know, just things, colors seem more vibrant, things like that. More sensitive to subtle energy, which will definitely improve your psychokinesis. And I attribute a lot of that to not only the pineal gland, but all the chakras, and hours and hours of meditation and energy work and breathing exercises and practice. It's not all one thing, but it's all interconnected. But the end goal, when you get to see with your third eye fully, you'll notice one thing. All is one. You'll see the oneness in everything, and how can't be bad without good, and vice versa, and how not to get so wrapped up in the battle between good and evil, but rather focus on your path and what you can do to make it a better place for not only you, but everyone else. All right. Well, I can't hardly make this video without at least giving you a chance to practice your third eye a little bit. So I think I'll end this with some flashcards. If you've ever done ESP cards, we're going to have a little test here. I don't know how many cards we'll do, but if you want to jot them down or whatever, I'm just going to do, and I had some complaints about my technique, the old flip and flick technique. If you haven't seen that video, I'll try to put a link for that down below. And I'm just going to do basically flip and reveal. If you guys want to do a little practice, stick around and practice. All right. Appreciate you guys watching. See you again in a few weeks. This is Trebor 7. Good day. God bless. And namaste.